Hey there, CPO here, and I don't usually bring you into the very middle of an accessory install or a build, but I had to do that with this product because it took me a little bit of time to figure out how this was going to work in my particular situation. So what I'm talking about here is this guy right here. This is from Rapto Worx. This is a high lift jack mount that is about the beefiest thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't just mount a high lift, it mounts a whole bunch of other things. I did get the high lift jack mount for this, as well as some pretty awesome tool mounts, which I'll show you here soon. This thing is amazing in a lot of ways. First of all, it's total beef. It is designed for a variety of things. I happen to be putting it in the back of my JKU, but the way they designed it, it's modular, so it can fit a variety of circumstances and vehicles. So this is not a Jeep only product. I have a roll bar adapter, which is designed, in this case, at 2¼ inch, I believe, or 2½ inch, designed to go around the roll bar in the JKU. I have this connector plate here, which connects to this center bar, which comes in different sizes depending on what width you need, and then the same thing is repeated on the other side. It really is a plug-and-play way to fabricate. It's very well thought out, very well designed. So why do I have it, first of all? And then why is it there? And I'll talk through a little bit of this stuff. I've been looking for a new place to mount my jack. Originally, I had it outside, didn't like that because it was getting rusty-er, and I don't like it on the back bumper, and so I put it inside. I made a nice DIY mount where I was using muffler clamps to hold it to the roll bar. A little bit janky, you know, small hardware, thumb screws, and it worked and it held and it did its job. I don't know how secure it would be in the event of an accident or rollover. I'm pretty much taking my Jeep to the next level. There's going to be a roll cage install here pretty soon, and I'm thinking through things like that. But I didn't want my jack. This thing is like 30 pounds, just sort of hanging out on hardware designed to hold muffler or an exhaust pipe. So wanted to rethink that, and a lot of the high lift mounts that mount on the roll bar really do use the jack as the structure. Where this is different is this has the structure and then you mount the jack to that. So it's sort of a double benefit. You're not just depending on whatever's holding your jack. It's up to you how important you think that is, but I thought that was really something useful. But not only that, the ability to add additional accessories and tool mounts onto this bar. So this bar exists whether or not my jack is there or not. So if I take my jack down, I can still have a shovel here or whatever. So that was something to consider. This thing is aluminum, heavy duty, and very purpose designed. So let me show you actually. I just have this, by the way, this is not installed, it's mock installed, and I'll show you why here in a second. But let me show you this high lift adapter, just this part here that connects to the high lift jack. So this is a fairly well designed mount. So I want you to notice a couple of things. Number one, it uses a bolt for the securement. This is a big old 1/2 inch, I believe, bolt that's going to go through, and there is a captured nylock nut in this contraption. So that's how you're going to install and hold the jack, and there's this capture. Now, a couple points. The nylock nut is replaceable, so they built this serviceable, knowing that over time, with use, nylock nuts will wear out. They're not designed to be unscrewed and rescrewed and unscrewed and rescrewed. So after a few times of that, they will wear out. So they made us an ability to service that. Go into any hardware store or auto parts store probably and get a nylock, and there's just 2 Allen screws that are holding that captured nut in there. That's a brilliant design. The other thing is the actual shape of this. It actually captures and locks into the rails of the high lift jack. So the bolt secures this thing onto this thing, and of course this thing is secured onto that thing. But my point is, you're not depending upon the bolt holding the jack. A lot of jack mounts rely on the strength of the bolt, and those bolts usually aren't even this thick. But in this case, it's not the bolt that's holding it, it's this clamp, this whole structure that is encasing the high lift jack, and that's pretty fascinating. Now, I did ask the question, why is this not hand removable? It's basically you need a tool to undo this, and the honest answer I got from the guys at Rapto Worx was, look, we didn't find a way to do it that we felt was secure enough. So we chose to do this, and knowing that most people pull out a jack because of other circumstances, they're probably going to have a toolkit available, so not a big deal. And, you know, I don't disagree with that. They did try some other options. I even gave them some feedback on what I thought, but in the end, this is what it is. You would use a tool to tighten and untighten this. The bonus of this, though, is the size of this nut happens to be 19 millimeters or 3/4. So if you're a Jeeper, you're very familiar with 19 millimeters or 3/4 because that is our lug nut size. So that means your 4-way, or 3-way in this case, if I don't unfold it, or whatever tool you use to remove your lug nuts is the same tool you'll use to get to your jack. So it may seem like an inconvenience to not be able to undo that with your fingers, but it is super secure, and you have the tool readily available to you to undo that. So that's pretty awesome. The whole thing was designed not for convenience, but for security and to safely stow whatever it is you have up there. In my case, it's going to be a high lift jack and maybe some other tools. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about why I have this where I have it. First of all, I started with it down low. Here's my problem. The options are pretty unlimited with where you put this. So I can even put it above the passenger seat across the top roll bars or wherever. I carry rear seat passengers a lot. My son is back there all the time, so I don't want that. So I'm kind of limited back here. The other thing is I'm using right now, because it's summertime, a soft top, the Fastback Trek Top NX. And so I've cut a lot of my cargo space out because I have a top that runs right here. So that severely limits how I install this. Now, with that in mind, when I put my hard top on for the winter, I could change this up because it's just bolt-in. But what I looked at was having it down low. The issue is because the jack is going to fit on these jack mounts here, it's going to stick up. If I put it up top here, it's going to stick up way out here. Perfect for the hard top. In this Fastback soft top, it's not going to work. I moved it down here, still not enough room. I'm tight right here. So what I decided to do is mount it upside down with the jack hanging instead of resting on the top. Makes it a little more cumbersome to get to, but then again, it spends 99% of its life right there. So the times I need it, it's not that big of a deal to get it off the mount. So I'm going to go ahead and start tightening this down, and then when I get it finished, I'll come back and show you sort of how things are working out. But I wanted to bring you in the middle. If I started with you in the beginning, you'd have been really bored watching me try things, pull the top down, put the top up, move things, put the top down. You get my point. So now I'm close to figuring out where I'm going to put this. Let me get it installed. I'll bring you back into the process, and then we'll talk more about it. All right, guys, it's a new day, and I'm ready to show you sort of the completed install of this Rapto Worx roll bar, high lift jack, and accessory mount. So I mentioned before I wasn't going to take you through all the pain of figuring out where I wanted to mount it for my particular build, but this is where I came up with. I think this is probably where it was when I showed you the first video. I started down below. I even moved it all the way up to the top. I'll talk a little bit about that when I give you some closer detail. This thing is solid. Besides providing a mount for accessories and your jack, I got to think there's some structural support here for the roll bar. So I got everything all locked down. Basically, I put it together loosely. I'm not going to undo it to show you how to install this. I'll give you a few tips that I ran across and show you some other details. But put it all together loosely so that you can sort of finagle it. If you tighten any of it, all of it down, and leave the roll bar loose, for example, it's not going to slide up and down very well. So having it all loose allows you to sort of get it where you want it, get it completely straight. And then as I tightened it, I did align these first on each side, and then after I got those locked down, aligned straight across, then I bolted these two down. Then came the install of the actual high lift jack mounts, and I've done one of my pack tool mount, and I'll show you why, because I want to actually give you some tips as I install the second one here. So let me give you a closer look at things now. All right, first of all, you can't go wrong with an orange Rapto Worx logo. I think this was made for me. Thanks, guys. Too bad it wasn't. But anyway, so you will notice I have these bar tacked roll bar covers, which oddly enough I could scrunch down, and even with the roll bar mount in place, basically I could still have everything covered. If you've got factory covers or some other cover, you're going to have to figure out a different solution. You might want to cut a slot in your factory cover for this to go through. That's something, again, these are going to be Jeep to Jeep differences, but I was fortunate enough that I had this Velcro on cover that basically makes it look very clean and finished, which is nice. So anyway, back here, they give you all the hardware you need. Basically, there's these heavy-duty bolts, washers, and then on the back side are nylock nuts. So if any of you are wondering, there's no thread lock requirements in any of this. You're either going into nylock nuts or you're going stainless steel into aluminum. So they should hold fine without any sort of a thread lock product. So let me show you the inside of that. All right, so coming around, I thought about taking the top off for you, but the whole point of my build was I had to fit it inside this fastback top. So I figured it's kind of important to show you how everything sort of fits in. Anyway, on the roll bar clamp, you can see there's 4 bolts. On the 2 on the outside are low profile by design so that you can clear anything that you need to clear. And then standard socket cap bolts on the inside. So what I did is I just tightened them up going back and forth like you would any other roll bar clamp. Sorry, seatbelt's in the way. Going back and forth so that it was evenly tight. And you know, as you go, you tighten up one, the other one gets loose, and you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. One thing to note, make sure you do not clamp your dome light wire. That's going to run up the passenger side seat belt on the modern JK Wranglers. So get that out of there. Do not clamp that down. Trust me, that will be a bad day for you eventually. So you can see how well it fits along the inside of this top. Plenty of clearance. It's actually just perfect, and the top sort of rests along the outside of this roll bar clamp. So not bad there. I'll give you a quick look at the back side of this, and then I'll go around the front where we have some more daylight. All right, so that's the roll bar clamp. Again, clamped here. Got it all in place loosely, and then started tightening up with these. That gets this perfectly straight aligned. And then after I did that, this piece here in the middle, the connector between the 2 sections, was loose. I basically lined it up so it was flat and pushed it down. So from the top, got it pushed down this way, flat along the bottom. Tightened those 2, went to the next one, did the same thing, pushed it down, got this flat aligned across, tightened them up. Now these, basically I just pulled the bar down tight, and then tighten down these 2 and those 2, and that locks in this bar, which does not move a bit. I mean, the thing is tight. And it's actually as solid as it is. It's not super heavy because it's made of aluminum, so that's really nice. The jack is way heavier than this bar is, but it's strong and solid, and you can see all the structural designs they have for rigidity, and a lot of options for attaching or mounting any other thing on there. So this, and this is a good time to probably say this, this mount, this roll bar mount, is not just for high lift jacks. Again, I mentioned before, they have a whole accessory sort of deal here. This is a mount for the pack mounts, but they also have an entire like weapon system mounting accessory line. So if you're a hunter and you want to throw a rifle up here or something like that, or you need to outfit a SWAT truck, whatever, he's going to have something for you, I'm sure. So anyway, got all those done, and now it came down to mounting the high lift jack mounts here. Now these are designed to fit through two of the holes, and I started out several things. Number one is, the reason this is exactly where it is because I wanted to get it as high as I could to still clear the top and not rub against the window. But also, what I found is if I pushed it all the way to the top, which is where I defaulted, I mean, I bumped it all the way up as far as I could go before I hit the seatbelt bracket. What I found is it interfered with the seatbelt because it was high enough up that that the jack would touch the seatbelt. I do not want my jack touching the seatbelt. I don't want that to be a wear problem or anything like that. So the way I have it right now, it clears the seatbelt on both sides, but yet is as high as I can practically get it. So you'll have to figure that out on your own and figure out what works for you. All right, so I defaulted, which is where I think everybody's going to want to go, is the outer two points for the high lift jack mounts. But you'll notice this side is not on the outer, and that's because I had to do some trial and error. It turns out there's some variances in the jacks, the actual dimensions of the holes. Believe it or not, I've got that old high lift over there. It fits just fine. That's a standard high lift jack. It fits just fine in the outer jack positions. Oddly enough, this high lift extreme that I just got does not. The holes dimensions are different in spacing by like a 1/16 of an inch. But over the course of 21 inches, and by the way, it's 21 inches from hole center to hole center on the mount, was just enough to put it in the wrong spot. It put it, as you can see here, on one of the bars for the bolt. So that didn't work. But the good news is, if you move this in one position, it now will fit my jack. So the reason I'm telling you this is it's flexible enough that you can do what you need to do to get it to fit your specific jack. So if you've got a non-high lift brand, Harbor Freight farm jack, or whatever you're trying to get, and the dimensions aren't exactly the same, try moving positions. If that doesn't work, try moving them, in. What you want to do is get as much spread as possible. And you'll notice on the outermost side, I have where the high lift jack, the weight of the jack is as far as I can get it. So most of the weight is supported right here, and then this just sort of stabilizes the rest of it. So anyway, that is that. I can't think of anything else I need to tell you, I don't think, on there. Now the tool mounts, these are really cool. If you already have pack mounts, you can just buy the adapter brackets to go here, and you can mount them in whatever way you need. Again, I'm trying to clear a fastback top, so mounting them this way is perfect for me. So what I wanted to do is mount the second one with you so I can show you some of the tricks I've learned along the way. All right, so the pack mount itself, this guy, if you're not familiar, these are just really cool. A lot of people like to use these for mounting shovels and other tools, axes and stuff, to vehicles, or you can mount them in the garage or whatever. They have a variety of options, but basically it's just a rubberized sort of a clamping mount system that holds stuff. And so what we want to do is hold stuff to this bar. Again, one of the really cool features about not using the jack as the thing that spans the roll bars is when the jack is gone, I can still have like a shovel here, and I don't have to worry about taking it all apart. But we want to mount that. It comes with some hardware for mounting it, whether into a wall or other things. So this is what we're going to use. We're just going to use the two screws. We don't need the nylock nuts, because on the pack mount that Rapto Worx gives you, it has threaded holes that we will mount that into. So basically you can mount it this way with it pointing up, or mount it this way with it pointing down. Pointing down is perfect because it takes advantage of the same space that's being used by the jack. And in my case, pointing it up puts it against the window for my top. So again, everything changes. If I put my hard top on here, suddenly the things I'm struggling with now become non-issues, right? I suddenly have all this space open up. As a matter of fact, when I put my hard top on in the wintertime, or if I take a big trip and put the hard top on instead of the soft top, I will probably rotate, just take these whole jack mount assemblies and flip them over so the jack is up instead of down. That's the way it should be. It's the easy way. It's the most sensical way. But when you're dealing with some constraint with your build, you've got to come up with what you can. So anyway, I'm going to mount this down, and then we're going to put the pack mount on. I struggled, and I'm still struggling with whether or not I want the pack mount to be up or down. It's basically a matter, if you see here, of easy to get off by pulling up and then out. Putting on, you've got to pull up, or do I want it to be pulling down? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. The good news is there's only 2 screws that hold this on, so it's easy to change. Here's a little trick. By the way, the bolts that come with these for these mounts seem awfully long, and they are. As a matter of fact, you're going to think they're too long, and the reason they're so long is it's actually designed, if you want to double up on these, you can put a mount, can't do it because the bolts are there, on both sides, and basically have tools splitting off on each side. So that's why these bolts are so long. They give you that option. So if you get a double kit, or you buy some more later, you'll be good to go. Now, if you mount the pack tool to the bracket first, you're gonna be like, now how do I get these bolts through, because the bolts are too long to get in there? Well, these guys thought of everything, so they actually gave you relief holes so that you could get the bolts through. If you put your washer on and just slip the head of that through, and then you'll be able to slide that all the way out. So that is how you're going to get these on. And what I'm going to do is get one of them sort of started to hold everything in place. Another washer on the back side, and then one of the nylock bolts that comes with the kit, and that will hold that there for me, and then I'll work on putting these other bolts in. All right, that is on there. Again, solid piece of mounting kit. And then now it's just a matter of mounting the pack tool mount on there. Again, I went back and forth. I think by default they're supposed to be mounted in the down position. But I don't know, I kind of went back and forth, so I'm trying them upside down. Again, this is just me, but you may not struggle with this like I do, but these little things, these little details, I spend a lot of time on, so I may flip them over. The good news is, like I said though, just a couple of Phillips head screws hold it in. So it's easy to change if I change my mind. So there's that. And let's try some practical application. Trail shovel. So now I've got my high lift jack up here, I've got my shovel up here, nice and secure, and I can take off either one or the other without worrying about the other one coming loose. Plus I've got options to mount additional tools up on the top side if I get to that point, or anything else. I mean, there's so many options here. This is an amazing addition, especially if you're a serious off-roader. You want this stuff secured. This is it, the Rapto Worx high lift mount, roll bar, high lift and tool, accessory, gun mount. It's just about all those things. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.